So some of you may know that this week is Transgender Awareness Week, and you may have noticed that we have a couple of changes around the school, like the gender-neutral bathrooms located on the first floor. Ta-da! And you may be wondering what the necessity is for all of this, so that's what this is going to be about today. So the reason that those bathrooms are important, the gender-neutral bathrooms, is because it can be really difficult when you are transgender to have to choose between one bathroom over the other if you don't necessarily identify with what you are biologically, and you have to choose to go into that bathroom anyway because it's what you're expected to do. So the gender-neutral bathrooms offer a really great opportunity, not only for transgender students, but allies in this school to utilize when duty calls. So the technical definition for transgender is the state of one's gender identity, self-identification as woman, man, neither or both, not matching one's assigned sex, which is the identification by others as male, female, or intersex based on physical or genetic sex. So this is what we call the genderbread man right here. And so the genderbread man has identity, which is what's in your head, sex, which is in your pants, orientation, which is in your heart, and expression, which is what you choose to express yourself as, if you choose to wear dresses, or if you choose to wear pants, or to play sports, whatever. And so sometimes these things don't align. So maybe your sex and your identity match up, but your orientation doesn't for what society prescribes as normal. So that's how you get lesbian, gay, bisexual, those kinds of things. Now transgender is what happens when your identity and your sex don't match up. So basically what you're born with, your physical anatomy, doesn't match up with what you identify in your head. Alright, now pause this. So some people might think that maybe a girl who dresses like a guy, maybe she's transgender, but she's not. That's all about your expression. So things like, there's transgender as an umbrella term. And so you have things like drag kings, drag queens. Those people aren't transgender. That's for entertainment purposes only. You can have a straight guy who simply likes to dress up as a girl on the weekends, and that's a completely different thing. Like, they aren't even related. So transgender is sort of it's a spectrum, just like everything else in terms of sexuality and identity. So you can fall on the complete binary system where maybe you identify as male but physically you are female, and you'll be on that end of the spectrum. Maybe you are biologically female but identify as male, and you'll be here. Now when you have genderqueer, those are people that are in the middle. Some days you might feel like one gender more than the other. And then there are anywhere around that spectrum, anywhere between or on the outside, where basically you just don't identify, you don't see gender as anything at all. It's just a completely arbitrary sort of system. So now transition is a process, and it takes shape in many ways and forms in which you start to either present socially as the opposite gender. So you may tell people, I'm going by this name now, and you should change my gender pronouns. So if you used to talk about me and say she, now I would like you to say he. There's also the biological changes where you could have sexual reassignment surgery, which makes your gender identity and your biological parts match up. And you can also have hormone treatments. So you may choose to take testosterone or estrogen based on what you would like to start presenting as. The most important thing that you need to know is that you need to be respectful of what people would prefer you call them as. So there are some gender-neutral pronouns for people who don't identify with one gender over the other, or just don't identify at all. And so some examples of those are things like who, ze, here, they, yo, yit, mer, and a. I prefer yit, so you would just refer to it like in the same way that you would follow normal grammatical structure in terms of pronouns. So instead of he goes to the store, you would say yit goes to the store, or she thinks a lot of herself. You would say yit thinks a lot of yit's self. Things like that. And so those are the simple changes that you can make to try to be more accommodating towards transgender. The most important things to take away from this are, number one, accept. Number two, respect. Number three, learn. When you aren't really sure about what to call someone or what exactly it is, don't be afraid to ask questions. Number four, stay open. Don't just try to shut things out just because they're a little bit different. And number five, speak out against transphobic remarks and behavior, because you never know who might be transgender.